So just so we understand, well, we talked to you guys. You guys introduced the film. The two, what is your role in the film? Like, just, you know, the context, because the brothers here kind of introduced themselves. So just give you a quick introduction, if you can.
I'm the writer-director, and this is my partner, Nikki. She helped me. She edited everything I write. She tells you that's horrible, that's good, that's bad. And she co-directed the film with me as well.
Excellent.
So that's done.
Mission accomplished. So I'm interested in looking at it and the sort of four creative forces. What was sort of the genesis of the idea? Did it pop out from this side of the table and then they looped you guys in, or was it something over like dinner one day that popped up? But
no, just to give everybody some context, I used to work at J. Crew's men's shop, and Trey was the store director. What? Who's repping for that?
You got a woo for J. Crew.
J. Crew, okay. That's cool for J. Crew. No, but Trey was the store director, and we always just bounce ideas off each other as we're like folding clothes. Like, you know, we definitely had it. Let this pass. It is New York. I'm gonna just let it pass.
Classic New York.
But yeah, I mean, growing up in the Bronx and around these environments and having friends who lived in the projects and stuff like that, I think it's just an idea that I had. I was like, what if people actually cared about people that lived in these conditions? Oftentimes, people don't unless they look a certain way, and that's where we came with the film. It was like, if they had a suit on, the world would care, and if they had a kid in it, the world would care, and that was more of a surface level interest that we created. So Tremaine and Nikki brought the story to life. But myself and Travis brought kind of the idea and concept to life.
And much thanks to all of our boys who were part of the editorial that we did 2 years ago, which, you know, a lot of people are really excited to see the film just based off of those images. Those are images that, if you came in earlier, they were playing on the slideshow on this screen. But, you know, again, much thanks to them, because it really creates a, you know, nice creative hub, people that we can bounce ideas off of as well as be involved in stuff. So once this editorial was done, you know, Josh and Trey took it from there and creating the film, and I mean, Nikki as well. They worked really hard on this film. Like,
it took 2
really
years,
hard,
so imagine.
Well, if I can intervene real quick, it was crazy. It's like I got an email, and he was like, "This is what I want," and he's like, he thought he had like clockers and everything in mind. So I actually wrote like 3 different versions of the film. Like I wrote one, and like at one point, Jeremiah, you were like you were kidnapped in a van. And then they were like, nah. So then I rewrote it that night, and I wrote something else. And they were like, okay, we get in there. And then I wrote something else, and it became a botanist, and it was this whole crazy thing. So it was really dope.
Yeah. We have one of the stars. Stand up, young brother, so everybody can see you real quick. So you got to turn around so they can see you. I didn't realize he was sitting right there. That's great.
Eating chips as usual.
Right. He's a star. He could do that, right? This is his premiere. Did a great job. But just to backtrack a little bit, you're talking about the sort of the editorial about how it was born, right? And maybe this is for those maybe not familiar with maybe how your ideas evolved.
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, we did a TED Talk that's online, and we really expanded on the, you know, how SLUMFLOWER came about, why we chose to do it this way. So, I mean, I encourage you to check that out, because I don't have everything on the top of my head, and I was I was a much better speaker at that point than I will be right now trying to explain that. But I mean, basically it came to life from, again, the idea. We got 20 of our guys together. We were, Suit Supply was kind enough to give everybody a suit. So everybody had their own suit, tailored fitted for them. And then we went into the projects one morning and shot this beautiful editorial.
It's actually in Chelsea, though, so it wasn't that dangerous. Yeah. It was, we couldn't really go to the Bronx. We were like, let's shoot it downtown, guys. Like,
yeah.
But
when I first saw it, I was like, what project? And then just now I saw the 19th Street, you know, on there. I was like,
yeah.
But sorry, continue with John.
Yeah, so I mean, we did a gallery in Tribeca, I guess, a year ago, where we recreated the scene of the project. So we had the grass in the gallery, you know, a park bench. We had the Jeremiah suit on display, you know, with like flowers and stuff in it. And then we had all the images on the side. And we made some books, partnered up with Visco, and made these photo books along with I don't know if Joe Kenneth is here, but you know, amazing poet that was in the film.
Oh, is he here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys stand up too, brother. Come on, come on.
Yeah, Joe Kenneth.
Stand up for us.
Yeah, so we sold a bunch of books to raise funds for the film, as well as sold the prints, and was able to. I mean, it was a good amount of money, but even at that point, that was stretching it for for what we had to do. So we did a lot. I mean, these guys did a lot with the little. So I'm gonna shout out to them.
And shout out to our DP, Rob Dumais, who's in the back.
Yeah, shout out to him.
All right. So maybe you guys, because Nicole, if you want to talk more about that process of 2 years is a long time, and the trials and tribulations, and maybe lessons learned.
I'll take that.
Computers crash.
Yeah, lots of computer crashing. So the importance of Apple Care for all those who get a new laptop or tower or cylinder. I don't know. There was a lot of edits, and then there was a part we realized that we needed to do reshoots, and that was interesting. Yeah, actually, I'll let you speak on that.
Hi. So, we kept coming back at the film and looking at it and making sure that the story we were told was the way we wanted it to be told. So initially I had in mind, and Josh and I were talking about that today, but it's like, the editorial that Raj Walker shot was like,
Yeah, shout out to Raj as well.
Oh yes, and it was so like beautifully done, and I didn't want to take away from that because initially I was like, oh, I need to have him running through all these guys in the suits and everything, and then I realized that was already done, and that was done beautifully. So now it's time for me to move on from that story and create like a day in the life of Jeremiah, and why was he there with everyone in the suits, which we'll probably hit on later, and at that point, we kept editing and re-editing and then moving, and then all of a sudden we said, okay, wait, we need to do reshoots because there were certain scenes that we needed to shoot that I don't think we even used. We used some of them. But it's just so we can really get what we really wanted.
Right. So, yeah, some of those scenes, one of the first scenes that when they're walking through I guess it's the courtyard, right? And everyone is just sort of casually, freshly dipped in front of the projects. Was a great way to set up, in my mind, the whole sort of narrative. But I know we were talking about that was extremely deliberate, right? That's part of the whole mission of the movie. So maybe talk through those scenes, those key scenes, and then even maybe bigger off, like what was that message you were trying to get across, and maybe were you guys happy looking at it? I'm sure it's weird for you guys looking in front of with everybody here. Are you happy that you were able to communicate that? I know it's a bunch of questions in there.
And I'm like, okay.
Let's talk about that
one?
first scene now. Let's break it down.
The first scene is, mind you, we shot that and it was brutally cold. I know Kadeem remembers how cold it was that day. Like, it was so cold that day, but we made it look good. And Joe Kenneth also, like, he made it look like it was 90 degrees, but it was like 15, 10 degree weather, like, and it was windy. But, like I said before, I think for us to use the suits, that would kind of gauge people's, like, general interest in the film and seeing the kid in the suit. But we didn't want to focus on that too much because this is not a fashion film. There's actually a theme behind it. And so many layers behind it. I know a lot of you guys have a lot of questions after watching the film. And that's where we really wanted to have, like, a conversation starter. Like, we didn't want to make a fashion film. That's what the editorial did. That's the editorial part of it. So...
Yeah, I think, I did think about that, about the sort of the brand extension of what you guys are known for. But I think you did a great job of putting the fashion in there, and it was completely not hitting you over the head, but you got the sort of the spirit of it. But I do want to just maybe before we open it up, but that extension of the Street Etiquette, how, it seems that you have fashion with a purpose anyway, right? And you sort of turned it around a little bit, right? Now you got a film with a purpose. Is that?
Yeah, that has been our mission from day one. Our slogan is that we tell stories through style. So we just use style as a vehicle to touch on many different topics that we feel are important to us. People love stuff like that. Open people up with something cool, creative, and then you just slip a message in there. But I mean, that's what we've been doing for, the past 7 years now. I mean, and that's what we continue to do. So SLUMFLOWER is just another extension of using that to create, to spread our message.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's open it up. Do we have Meredith, we have the microphones? So I guess, if you have a question or a comment, just raise your hand. Meredith will sort of hustle over to you. And if you have it, if it's directed at somebody in particular, that'd be great. Or if you just want to throw it out, that's cool too.
Should I stand up?
Yes, please.
What are like the top 3 challenges that you guys faced while filming and editing and putting it together?
Anybody?
I mean, anybody. Top 3, number 1, money. Yeah, that's number 1. Number 2, I think weather is another one. And then also, I think because creatively we were all intertwined, which is really great because we all knew each other. But I think it was, a lot of it was just timing, So it's a lot of time. We all have full-time jobs, and it's just figuring out, time to do everything we need to do. And then every time, imagine you are painting a painting, and you did the first brush stroke, and then you're going to do the second brush stroke in about like 4 weeks. And you almost forget what you're looking at. But you know what you want to do, and you know what you want to create, and it's just the difficulties with that. That comes with money and time. So if you have the full time to be there and paint that whole painting, and you have a full plethora of colors to use, then you're all good to go. But that's in a perfect world, and we're not in a perfect world yet, but doesn't mean we're not going to try and get our story out.
How long was the shoot? You said it was really cold. Did you shoot it over? Did you have to come a day and wait a month to get the funds up, or did you get it all together and bang it out?
Yeah, well, we shot over initially 2 weekends, so we had 4 days of get in and just get it. And then that was November, that was Thanksgiving, 2013. And then we had some time to really meditate and think about crafting the story, making sure that everything felt right. And then we were able to pick and choose, okay, what we need to add and what we need to subtract. So and that happened the following summer. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that extra time maybe helped you refine it all?
Yeah, I think.
Right? So it was the upside. It was a difficulty and a...
Two different things.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. I think the timing as well for the film just was everything that's going on in the headlines and in America and globally. The timing of the film was perfect. So even though we waited 2 years, I think a lot of people are more open to the conversation, whether you're African American, Caucasian, or whatever you are, for the most part, about these type of issues in our community, but globally. So.
True story. And to piggyback on that, and it's in a more light way, but for someone like me whose mind works a certain way and who writes as much as I do, the last thing you want to do is give me an extra year. I just kept every day. Oh, you know what? Let's run through a forest. Remember, it was like something. I don't know what I was talking about.
It's a wheatgrass field. Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
Right. Did you have to kind of shut him up enough?
Yeah, I
on it?
definitely shut down Trey a couple times. Like, yo, we're not renting nothing. Like, we're not doing. There was many nights where he just, we're just at home, editing super late. So I really thank Trey for even having the consistency and the patience to deal with me.
Like my wife.
Oh man. Yeah, his wife too.
Very cool. All right, we have someone else?
Can I ask 2?
Sure.
How did you go about casting the film?
That's a really good question. Those are actually all of our friends for the most part. Well, Joe Kenneth is here. He's a good friend of ours and constant collaborator. But the leading lady, Christina Jackson, she couldn't be here today. She's filming in Pittsburgh. But she was a good friend as well, but she was also an actress. And Chad, who acts as Jeremiah's dad, is an actor and also just a creative as well. So this is all of our friends just kind of collaborated in a sense, and this is the result that we had. So we didn't actually cast in a sense, we had our friends that wanted to be extras from the editorial, then everybody else kind of fell into place.
Yeah, I mean, you forgot to mention that Jeremiah is your nephew as well.
Oh yeah, Jeremiah's my nephew. I mean,
You forgot that part. You kind of
blood and
moved right into
DNA.
that role.
This character came out of nowhere. So my sister's right there, Patricia Kissi's mom, and her husband Jerry Nwama. Yeah. So they birthed this kid, and I was like, he'll be perfect. Like, let me take this kid and put him in a movie. Like,
And
I
then,
had her mother looking for, I had Patricia looking for wheatgrass fields for me too.
Is that right? The wheatgrass.
and then what was the inspiration behind the soundtrack?
Good question.
that's a good question. Well, I work alongside Joao Gonzalez, who actually did some of the scoring for the film as well. Can you stand up? He did all the music. You know, really talented. I just really wanted something that would be a great backstory to the film. And, you know, we worked with collaborators as well and friends. So this is like a real, like, if you had the budget to do whatever you want and you could do a cool project with your friends, this is what we did. The soundtrack is like full of people we know, we respect, and have like a like common vision with us. So everything's kind of like intertwined together.
And just about the funding of it. So you sold, was it, everybody had to put up a little bit? Did you get some outside stuff? Is it hustling the paycheck?
Visco, very nice company, and we love them so much. So this actually started out as a collaboration with us and Visco, and it still is, as far as their Artist Initiative program. So they fund artists to create product as far as what their craft is. So we came out with filters that were also on their app, and they funded the film through books and posters that we've sold on Guilt. So nobody actually, I don't think anybody put any personal money down. I mean, unless Trey did. Yeah. I mean, we had to reshoot, so he probably was coming out his pocket for that. But that's his fault.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Trey came out, but
I don't want to know.
It's all water under the bridge.
Right, exactly. We're here now.
We're here
Don't need
now.
to talk about that now. We have others? We got one back here.
Hi. So I know that you all talked about the juxtaposition of high class or high-end tailored suits and the projects as the backdrop. I was just curious what additional thoughts went into the father's clothing, which was pretty different from everyone else. Everyone else had suits on, including Jeremiah, and the father had, the Explorer hat, and I was just wondering how that was different and if there was a deeper theme.
we could both answer
Yeah, we
for
both
sure.
answer.
I think, his dad having that type of playful outfit was kind of Jeremiah's imagination in a sense. And I think a lot of times, one of the themes of the film is black youth. And growing up, we're constantly aware of our surroundings as a black kid in America or in New York City, like not to go there, not to do this too far, not to play with this type of person or whatever the case is. So this is like Jeremiah just being a kid and like fully blooming in his imagination. So his dad being a little bit more playful than the other characters is in his imagination, and him having imagination as a black kid in America, so that mattered visually, stylistically as well.
And also his initially with the photo editorial, and the way I shot it based off their editorial was the people in the suits outside. They represent, when we grow up and we have our parents and our dad or our mom, and you remember a certain scent, a certain thing they wore every day before they went to work and what they did. And that's how he saw his dad, and that's how he remembered his dad, is everyone is an extension of who his father was, and it was this man who dressed up very well. But on the other end of it, when you would try to imagine who your dad is, you're going to imagine being a superhero or architect or, archaeologist or Indiana Jones or something. So it was the complete opposite when he was in the house, but when he was outside, everybody kind of looked like his dad.
And exactly, and also the suit is kind of symbolizes a shield in a sense. Like back in the day, everybody had a suit on, whether you're a doctor or whether you're cleaning the bathroom in a sense. So it kind of represented a shield to people's perception of what that would mean, in today's world at least. So.
I actually have two questions myself. I guess I can stand as soon as I'm right in front of you guys. The first one was, where was the first one actually? I guess guess I'll ask the second one since I can't remember the first one.
It'll come.
Actually, the first one was the visual motif of the wave or the blending or I'm not sure if it was meant to be temperature throughout the film at many of the transitionary periods between Jeremiah running through the halls or running through the courtyard. What was the use of that or the notion behind using that wave?
I think that was the AC.
Really? Oh, my bad. I literally thought it was like.
I wish I could have done that.
Well, that goes into my second question.
I don't have the
Then.
budget for that.
I thought it was a great idea. You should really keep that.
I thought it was great too. I was like, man, this is awesome.
I was like, this is super cool. How did they get the wave throughout the motion? I was like, that's really HD.
If I could only recreate that online.
Yeah, so
you
the
guys should
film
do that.
actually doesn't wave like that. When
really
you watch
thought-
it online or
really-
any other place,
I
it's
really
going to
love
be
the actual
normal.
wave. But secondarily, speaking about the suit as a shield, and we get to the end of the movie where it's obvious that Jeremiah hasn't been saying that his father's home because he's in the bathroom. The woman that comes to the door, she doesn't know this. And this, like, I guess I don't know what you'd want to call it, but the surrealism of that moment, or the entire movie up to that point, ends where she walks in and kind of barters it, and he doesn't really let her in, but she comes in, and we see that this whole notion of them being in this apartment that's, very opulent, the explorer hats, the suits, everything kind of disappears, and it's just him wearing a backwards hat, and he's clearly in the projects as we now know. I feel like that was the big point of the movie. Could you explain when the transition between going from that to her walking through that door and he's just in a room? Maybe it's not a question.
So I mean, the explanation behind that transition, so as she walks in, I don't know if you can tell with the temperature of the film as well, her temperature is a little blue, and as she got off that elevator, every time he opens that door and walks in, he walks into his own world. And she tries to invade that world as much as she possibly can. So when she finally got into that apartment building, inside of that apartment, it was a win-win. It was like basically she just finally knocked down the wall, and two walls. The one wall was she finally got into the apartment, and the second one, she can finally find out what the hell's going on. Sorry, what is going on? And I don't know, initially she thought, and how I wrote her, is that she literally thought that he just didn't want to be with her anymore. Yeah. And that's all she thought about. Until she realized that maybe it's not about that. Like maybe it's way beyond that. And it takes a lot for someone to even think that in life, to kind of look past the expectations of the stereotype of what you think is going to be happening or you think is happening, and to say, no, I'm going to find out what's really happening. And that's when she stepped in through the door, is when she kind of stepped into the actual reality, but he's still in his world. Yeah. Did I answer that right?
Definitely,
Okay. I have Nikki, if Nikki wants to say anything.
I love the line about voicemail, like, you're making me leave a voicemail. I thought that was like a very subtle commentary behind it all, like nobody leaves a, how dare you make me have to. But then maybe that's your point. Then you got to go and physically confront somebody, which people also don't want to do to get the truth. That was a great props to you guys. I think we have another.
So Josh, as you said, I think that, with waiting 2 years, the film is really timely with what's going on in America and in the world today. What conversations are you guys hoping that this inspires, that this film might inspire?
That's a good one.
I mean, when we first started this film, and like any project we do, we don't really try to answer it in a sense. We try to spark the questions. But as far as the conversations we would love to kind of spark or have everybody have online and like in real time, growing up in New York City, we see the problems and the issues, but also globally what's going on. And I think conversations of, the income equality, conversations of racism, classism, sexism, I think all those conversations are impacted in this film, and people could kind of take a thread out and kind of like really kind of read that weave in a sense. And I think the film does a great job at doing that, and I don't know what else I'm saying.
Can I jump in on that as well? I think what I think this film is really going to say is that, whenever you think of a story, it's in the projects, it's revolving around a very specific thing. So it's like Boy in the Projects, drugs and guns, something is going on that's involving nothing that has to do with the story itself. And I think the conversation that I really want to start and continue to do is the more I do more things is just a story. And it shouldn't matter if the person is a certain, and everybody in this room is they're open, which is great, but that's not how the world is. So it's a lot of times people look at things in this, they put things in boxes. So they're not going to say, all right, that's a black story. There's no such thing as a black story. It's a story. So that's kind of what we want to do and continue to do, just kind of bring it all together and just basically just, if we want to tell a story, we tell this story. And if it means something to you, it means something to you. It shouldn't matter if the person's black, white, or Asian, or it doesn't really matter. And I think that's poignant to the times because right now we're slowly going into backwards where things are starting to separate, which doesn't make any sense to me in a world that we've done all this work to come this way and now we're going this way. And I think that comes from giving the people who live in certain areas, just know that maybe my story is just going to be told whatever that story may be. Maybe I'm just going to the store, and the story is about me going to the store, getting food. It doesn't have to be about me stereotypically doing something that's illegal or good or bad or whatever it may be. I don't know if I said that right.
Oh, that's great. I think we got another one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hi. I just wanted to know, was it intentional that you picked the suits and the transition to the regular, clothes in reference to metaphorically the society that we live in today, and how we've gone from clean and organized or fitting to disheveled, a little dirty, a little patched up, or just a little disorganized looking. Is that intentional in reference to metaphorically how society is going? And, sorry. And are you guys aware of how that might impact this world today in how we're dealing with it mentally?
Josh, you want to take?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
It's very heavy. And it's the cameraman, by the way.
Exactly. As he goes back to work, that's a good man right there.
To me, it's that change and the fact that you say I wasn't really thinking in that sense, but I was thinking a change. And I don't know if you noticed the reason why I had him playing chess is our lives are based. If you play chess, and if none of us know how to play chess, but if you say someone teaches you how to move the chessboard, if your life is a mess, your chessboard's a mess. And if you can notice, his chessboard at the end was a mess. His life is a mess. And that's because he initially in his mind knew what he wanted and what he wanted to strive for and what his dad wished he strove for. And unfortunately, his father wasn't able to strive there, but he strived there in his mind. And I think looking at that, I would hope that someone could look at it and say, well, you know what? It's not a dream. Though it's a dream to him, it shouldn't be a dream. The father just wasn't able to fulfill it. He was trying to get out of his situation. He was looking at it more as a temporary situation in the projects. So he tried to train his son as much as he possibly could. That's why his son was thinking so far ahead. But you're right. It's going to have a different mindset when people look at it and they're going to say, okay, what does this mean? Does this mean that what I'm doing right now, if I'm not wearing a suit and I'm wearing, baggy jeans and a T-shirt, I'm not as good as the guy in the suit? No, you're exactly the same. But I think it's just more so a mindset of just kind of having a clearer vision as to what you want. And that's what we should all strive for, is to have a clearer vision, regardless of how you dress. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
That was a great answer. I think we got one over there.
So you mentioned stereotypes.
Stand up so we can see.
Oh, really? Okay. Hi, great film, you guys. Congratulations, it was awesome. You used the flower, a little boy growing a flower and speaking. What was the intention behind that? Like, why didn't he plant, I don't know, peppers or an orange tree? Like, why was it a flower?
I mean, I think, the film being called Slumflower, being related to plant life and human life, that's one of the themes we went with. like, you know, people planting seeds in each other. We all invest our time and energy into each other, and it's the same way you plant the seed in somebody. But it just so happened his seed wasn't fulfilled, or it didn't fully bloom. So that's what that flower was about. It was a personification on his human life, in a sense. So there wasn't enough nurturing, there wasn't enough sunlight, there wasn't enough water, in a sense, for him to fully bloom. So that's what the flower was about.
And there was another iteration of the script where he kept on trying to grow the correct flower that his dad gave to his mother, and he just couldn't do it. We didn't keep that, but we just it kept with the same theme as the flower, where the flower represents just his world.
Yeah, I did think that in the beginning, right? I thought it was going to be more about the specific, that flower in that first story, right? I thought you guys were going to dig into that, but maybe there's another version with it. Yeah. And
it's like, you know, at the end of the day, when you look, you're like, damn, I only have 20 minutes, and 20 minutes is very long for a short film. Yeah. That's another thing you wrestle with. Gentleman was asking about the 3 things for a film. That's one of the things you wrestle with, is what you keep, what do you get rid of. This can be a feature, and you're like, well, what if it's a feature? I got a lot more stuff to shoot. So it's just kind of fighting with what is going to stay and what's not going to stay.
Right. Tracy, I think I cut you off, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say that anecdotally, it somewhat borrows from The Little Prince. So the relationship between the little boy alone on a planet with his flower, and that's his whole world. So, you know.
Bringing back some old 7th grade reading. I haven't thought about it in a while. That's very, very heavy. I think we got time for one more running.
Hey guys, what's going on? I don't have a question, just more or less a statement. Seeing how the film developed from its genesis to tonight, I want to say it's a beautiful message, great film, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate it.
I do just have one follow-up to that. What is that, because I imagine we have some filmmakers in here. What was that process of cutting? Like, how do you decide that? Because it must be like choosing which of your children you like the most, right?
So how you choose that is every time you put something there. Like, the initial thing I cut was about an hour and 15 minutes long. And then I was like, man, we have a whole scene of him and her in the garden and this whole thing. And, Nikki's, nope. No, she's in the world, in the editing film, if each clip was a human being, she'd be bad cop. Like, nope, you're gone. Nope, you're gone. Nope, you're gone. And I'm like, no, but I love it. It's definitely very tough shooting a short film with so many layers, and it's being able to still get across what you want to get across with those layers missing and adding extra layers to it to kind of, make it work.
Yeah. Well, you guys did a great job packing a lot into 20 minutes.
It was definitely difficult. Yeah.
Right. It's got to be torture. You have no problem being a bad cop. I can see it in your eyes.
No.
Good about that. Well, good. Well, listen, let's give a round of applause to everyone here at SLUMFLOWER. Thank you guys for sharing this with us. When can we can, as of now, we can go see it online?
The film should be up on slumflower.com, and you could view it. And we just want to say, this was like a family and friends viewing for us. Like, we didn't promote it on Instagram or anything like that because people wouldn't be able to come in, but we wanted to have an intimate conversation around the film. So it wasn't like a Street Etiquette press thing like the last event we had. We really wanted our family and friends and people we love to come and see the film. So thank you guys for coming out.
Yes, thank you. Next, another film. Is another film being cooked up? You guys want to
we
go
actually
through this
have
again?
another film. It might take 10 years with training.
This one's actually going to be a little bit easier because I already have the script halfway done, and it's a different story. But I can say the name of it if you want.
Yeah, say the name.
Mateo's Kaleidoscope is going to be the next one, and that's what I'm going to do with Street Etiquette, and then Nikki and I have another thing we're working on. So.
Okay, excellent.
Should be fun.
All right, thank you guys again. Thank you guys for coming out.